Right, thank you. I'm going to hand the meeting over to Tosca, who's going to share for the next 30 minutes on the same subject. Over to you, mate.
I thought, you know what, my name's Tosca and I'm an addict. Hey! Yeah, I'm also addicted to misery, self-pity, Arsenal Football Club. Yeah. Yeah, Haribo sweets and a whole range of stuff that I can't go into right now. I have to thank the committee for inviting me. It's a real honour. You know, I mean, I was kind of gobsmacked that they actually asked me. I have to thank Amanda for her chair. It kind of blew me away, and I'm kind of thinking, how am I going to compete with that? But I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a go. You know, I love NA. I have to say I love NA, and NA saved my life. And, you know, the 412 people who wrote the book, and, you know, from 1977 to 1982. I've got a copy of the book here, just for our American cousins to show we do use a book. Here's a book. I might not use it, but we do have one. We do. You know, and I do. When I say I love NA, I love NA. It's kind of like there's a passage on page 23 in the book around step 2, and it talks about the old lady, you know, with going from chemist to chemist and the junkie with a needle in his arm. And for me, that is kind of sums this up. It kind of sums up the fact that, you know, it is about the third tradition, and if you think you have a seat, want a seat here, you have a seat here. You know, and lots of people have said to me, you know, I don't get it, and, you know, I only did this, and I only did that, and I only did this. Where I live, there's a guy that's got a V-registered 1980 Volvo, right? And he loves this car. Right, he loves his car, he polishes it, and he takes it on a 4-mile drive. He's had it since 1980. He takes it on a 4-mile drive every day. And across the road, the geezer's got a Lamborghini. And I'm pretty sure if the Volvo got smashed up, he'd be far more upset than the fella that has got the Lamborghini. It's what it means to you personally, what brings us in here. You know, I consider myself to be an addict who found drugs. Yeah, I consider myself to be an addict who found drugs. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. You know, I think the program is an intellectual method of dealing with my emotions. That's what it is. It gives me a formula and a pattern to be able to work out and survive with being me. And, you know, you know, my first addiction was Ritz crackers, right? My first addiction was Ritz crackers, closely followed by Tuck biscuits, right? And my mum kind of just gave up. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's all I wanted to eat. So at dinner time, they just give me a box of this gear. You know, one day Ritz, the other day Tuck, Ritz, Tuck. I was addicted to the salt. It was just like insane. You know, and I am, and you know, I have to say I've been dumped this week, and I've been dumped this week, and I've kind of realised, right, that the people that care the less have always got the power, and I've just got enough self-esteem this time to not go back into this madness. You know what I mean? So I'm just putting that out there because I'm a bit kind of upset by that. Okay, let's get back to the drugs. All right. You know, I have to say that. You know, as I say, I consider myself to be an addict who found drugs, and you know, I said my first addiction was Ritz crackers, and you know, and I was one of those kids that my mum was always shouting my name, always Tosca, 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 you know, and it was kind of like I didn't want that to happen. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want that to happen, but it was always happening, and I can remember I was getting to like 14 and 15. I remember this one particular night. And, you know, they'd stopped kind of talking to me. My parents had just stopped talking to me. And I had a piss in a glass, because that's the sort of person I was. Right? I had a piss in a glass whilst I was watching an old episode of The Sweeney, right? Yeah. And I have to say, to this day, that is my natural state. If people say to me, what's your natural state? It's sitting in my underpants watching ITV4, quoting lines of The Sweeney. That's what I want to do. That's all I want to do. The rest of it is just a nonsense. So I pissed in this glass and I went to bed, right? And when I got up in the morning, there was just screams, screams. This boy's crazy, and this boy's crazy. And my mum's standing there with a pint of piss. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is this? And I'm like, oh fuck, So what I did is I slung it away, and you know what? The next night I did exactly the same thing. I did exactly the same thing. It was kind of like weird the way I kind of lived my life. I'm going to share some stuff I've never really shared before, but the topic about We Do Recover is really kind of quite important. I was a very, very successful young man that got involved in drugs. I was a very, very successful young man. To cap a long story short, I started a radio station, a very, very successful London-wide radio station that still exists to this day. And because of my, because I like drugs, I kind of, I took loads and loads of drugs, and I didn't know why I was taking loads and loads of drugs, and I had loads of money, and I took loads of drugs, and what happened is basically, cut a long story short, I lost it all, and the way that I lost it all was that, it's funny, because in the reading, how it works, it says, we don't become addicted overnight, so easy does it. But that was written before the crack epidemic. And what happened to me was that I can always remember my, I used to take every drug. I was a bit like a man. I took every drug going. If it was a drug, I just took it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Acid, microdose, I'll take it. Weed, I'll smoke it. I'll do this. Charlie, I'll take it. And I can remember I was at Live Aid, and I was a young man, and someone gave me a pipe at Live Aid behind the stage, but I didn't really get it. Do you know what I mean? I didn't get it. It didn't really work for me. And then it kind of speed forward to Christmas, December the 25th, 1986. I can remember it really vividly. And Arthur Fowler had nicked all the Christmas money on EastEnders. This is a true story. It nicked all the money, and this kid I know come around my house with what he called bass. He came around my house with what he called bass, and he had this little pipe and the rest of it, and he went bang. Right, he went bang, and I remember thinking, this is it. This is it. You know what I mean? I don't need anything else anymore. This is it. You know what I mean? There's a line from a song. This is it. This time I know it's the real thing. That's Melbourne Moore, right? Yeah. It was a bit like that. It was a bit like that song went off in my head, right? And and what happened was that I couldn't get it. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't get it. I didn't know how to get it. You couldn't really get it on the streets then and that sort of stuff. But it was in me. Do you know what I mean? This was the drug that I needed to kind of permeate towards. And what happened was that by this time I moved to America on March the 12th, 1987. I moved to New York. As I said, I was a very successful young man. I moved to New York, and I was there over a weekend. I'd moved on like a Thursday, and over the weekend, I went to a club called The Tunnel, which my New York friends would know, which is down on 12th Avenue, which is an old disused underground station. And I went in there with a vial full of coke, because that's what I did. I sniffed loads of Charlie. And this girl kind of said to me, do you know how to wash it? I said, no, I don't know how to wash it. And then ensued the chaos. The chaos kind of ensued from there, really. They came back to my hotel, we washed it up, and I just went to town. I just felt that this was it. This really was it. And, and basically I ended up wrecking everything. I ended up wrecking. The radio station was kind of taken away from me by my partners in the radio station. And it's really important that I kind of tell you that. That was kind of taken away from me. They kind of paid me off. Obviously, I spunk that dough. I ended up losing the job, and I ended up coming back to England. I came back to England, and I just smoked crack. That's what I did. That was my job, And it kind of got to this point, really, where I spent the last 6 years, courtesy of my family, living in a bathroom. Right? It was a great bathroom, but nobody needed to spend 6 years there. And I'm just gonna, a few people know this, but just my using was pitiful. I like to think it was different, but it wasn't. I lived in 2 square mile of Highbury in Dalston, and I used to have an Alpha Stud car that had no bottom of it. It's like a Flintstone car. You know, and I used to get around. I could get around on a ching's worth of petrol a week, a fiver's worth of petrol a week. And what I used to do, I'd drive my Alpha Sud to Dalston, and I'd try and cop. I'd Shacklewell Lane, Amherst Road, I'd try and cop. But I was so narrow, I used to have to leave the car there and walk home. Do you know what I mean? Because I was just a light with this car. The car was just like ridiculous. You'd have to stop me if you saw it. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if it was a policeman eating a kebab, a McDonald's, the rest of it, sitting there doing nothing, if I drove past in his car, you'd have to nick me. It was like, it was just, what is going on here? And and that's how I live my life. And I'd like to tell this story. And this is. So I'm there. I'm on the Amherst Road, and one day, and sunshine. And I'm trying to look to cop, and and I've come a long way down. Do you know what I mean? Didn't really intended to this to happen to me, and I'd come a long way down. And this fella pulls up in like a red XR3 or something. You could sort of like 80s, 90s motor. Do you know what I mean? With spoilers and that. And he says, "Do you want to come and smoke, bruv?" You know what I mean? I said, "Yes." I want to come and smoke. Yeah. And he tells me he lives in Loughton, right? And if you're a boy from North East London, Loughton's the promised land, right? Seriously. You've heard about it, footballers' wives, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to Loughton, I can't believe it. Day trip, right? So we jump in the motor, we get over there, I've got a big smile on the boat. You know when you just copped, you know what I mean? You've got a big smile on your boat, your arsehole's going and everything. You know what I mean? You think we're going to be flying tonight. And what happens is we get into his gaff, and he's got like a penthouse sort of thing over the green. He gets a pipe out, puts a bit of gear in it, goes crash, right? And he starts doing all that. Puts the pipe down, pulls the cushions out of the sofa, jumps in the sofa, and then asks me to sit on him, right? No. But the interesting thing about that, right, is not only did I sit on him, right, I got it. Do you know what I mean? I got it. I was like, yeah. Cool, of course I'll sit on you. So there I am in the promised land, sitting on this lunatic, right? Just wanting my go, right? I just want my go there. So he gets out of the sofa, jumps into a cupboard under the stairs, and stays there for about 45 minutes. And what Amanda said about, taping up windows. I mean, what my thing was, and Chris knows this, my thing was, I used to piss in my own drawers. I used to piss in a drawer, you know what I mean? Because the police were outside in my hallway, and they were just about to arrest me. They were just about to kick the door off. And if I went to the toilet, they'd arrest me, wouldn't they? So rather than go to the toilet, I used to just piss in my drawers, you know what I mean? That's really what I did. It was like, time to urinate, just go straight in the drawer. And then at the end of the night, I'd just like walk away and just empty it in the toilet, like really normal. And then put it back again. It was like, and what I kind of realised, and it's, and I was resentful. I lived in Highbury, and this radio station that I was kind of attached to was in the Holloway Road, and it was really kind of, and I'm only really getting in touch with the kind of pain of what that was for me, to actually start something and I have a kid and have it taken away from you. It kind of, I do think it kind of kept me out there maybe longer than it did, but that's the way it happened anyway. And what happened was that, it's the kind of the therapeutic value of one addict helping another. And, I kind of think that my life's a bit like a Monty Python film, right? That's how I kind of consider it. That there's certain props in it. Like I had an Arsenal season ticket, which was kind of courtesy of my cousin and my brother. And I had a Barber jacket, which I'd read, right? in some magazine. It was the only jacket to have, right? I had a Barber jacket and an Arsenal season ticket, so I felt that was all right. Do you know what I mean? It was like it's kind of like weird. Do you know what I mean? When I think about it, I just used to smoke crack. That's all I did, you know. And yeah, and I got clean, right? Therapeutic value of one addict to another. I was in the Holloway Road, outside Safeway. All you want from a store and a little bit more. I can always remember that slogan. Because sometimes I only did a little bit more, right? Okay. I was outside Safeway, and this fella that I used to use with came up to me, and he just looked different. He was like, I said, well, go on. And he went, I'm 90 days clean. And I remember saying, what the fuck is that? You know, and my thought process was, and why would you want to be it? Do you know what I mean? It was like, but it kind of sowed a seed, you know, and that was November 1995. And I came in you know, on July the 28th, 1996. Yeah, and I've been clean ever since. And you know, and it's kind of like, you know, it's 19 years, 8 months, longer than Arsene Wenger's been manager of the Arsenal. You know, and it's a long time, you know, and lots of things have happened. I've done lots of stuff that I'm, you know, incredibly proud of, and stuff that I'm deeply ashamed of. You know, I've got, you know, I came in with a 4-year-old daughter, who's now 23. She's got a first at university. She's a beautiful child, and we have a fantastic relationship. I used to drive her to crack houses. I used to drive her in an old Montego to crack houses with no tax, no insurance. You know, that was a mum's car. You know, that's how I was living. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't too clever. You know, I have a relationship with her today, and the program's given me the opportunity to right lots of wrongs, or given me the opportunity to, you know, at least be present in lots of situations that I wasn't before. You know, and my journey was kind of, you know, I came in July because Wayne came in, and and the interesting thing about Wayne for me, Wayne was worse than I was. That's what I knew. Yeah, I'd seen him nicked in Murray's bar. I'd seen him nicked in the old Par Z. I'd seen him nicked in the number 19 bus before it'd gone anywhere. But it was at Ivory Fields, and there was, you know, he was worse than I was. It was like, what the, you know, if he can get clean, then clearly I might be able to. And that was kind of the thing that I needed, really. And you know, and I kind of go back to the statement I made before. You know, I've done lots of stuff in recovery that I'm proud of, and lots of stuff that I'm not too proud of. And you know, I've been married, I've got divorced, I've got, you know, 2 wonderful children, and you know, the program has always kind of stood, you know, has been right for me. You know, and I just want to talk about my experience really of the program, and you know, and how that's kept me in good stead. And you have to keep the radio thing kind of focused for me as well. Keep that in your minds, right? Keep that in mind. So, you know, the first 3 steps, I came in, and the first 3 steps, you know, people told me that, you know, if I did the program, that, you know, my life would change. I'd have a psychic change. And what I kind of realized, that where I was, I really needed one. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like one of those things where, at a fundamental kind of psychological level, I knew I couldn't carry on like this. You know, I used to go days and days and days and days without having a conversation. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, the real reason I got clean is not because I was an addict. It was kind of clear to all and sundry I was an addict. The real reason I got clean is there was nobody left. Do you know, there was nobody left in my life. My brothers had had enough of me, my sister had enough of me, and even my old mum. Do you know what I mean? She could not stand the sight of me, and I couldn't stand the sight of myself. I used to catch myself in the mirror and shy away. Do you know what I mean? There was nobody left. And, you know, and my experience was I came into the fellowship, and, you know, you people love me, and it's weird, you know, and it's great to see so many black faces, because when I got here in 1996, I think there was only 2, Keith Walcott and Phil. I think they're the only people that were here. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of one of those things where, you know, and I kind of heard the readings. Do you know what I mean? I kind of heard the readings, and I kind of understood that I needed to stay here. Do you know what I mean? I needed to do this work. You know, and the first 3 steps, you know, we admitted, you know, and I love that we admitted we were powerless over our addiction, our lives become unmanageable. You know, I didn't know what powerless meant. Do you know what I mean? I took my first sponsor to say, you know, this is a bit of crack. You smoke it, and you've got no power over it. It's like, fuck, there's a word for it. I didn't even know. Do you know what I mean? I did not know. And, you know, in the second step, which Amanda spoke about the second step, and the second step is the solution. You know, it's the solution. Come to believe the power greater than myself to restore me to sanity. And the power greater than me is you plus me is a power greater than me. You know, I came to the fellowship and I saw people, you know, I'm a kind of, you know, I think I'm a fairly shrewd nut and the rest of it. And I clocked the tax on the cars outside the meeting. They had tax. Do you know what I mean? They had tax. And they drove the same car every week and that sort of stuff. You know, and I went along and, you know, and they were consistent. They were there every week. And it was kind of like that second step in that process for me was, you did it. You know, you were doing it. And you doing it meant that maybe I could. You know, and that was really kind of important for me. You know, and you know, and that made a decision to turn our will and our lives out of the care of God as we understood them. In It Works How and Why, look, Americans, I got that as well. Look, It Works How and Why, I got that book as well. It says that, you know, making the decision in step is doing step 4. That's what it says in It Works How and Why. It says making the decision is doing step 4. And the interesting thing about me is I come from the I know school of life. You know, I know. You know, and I never finished anything. Do you know what I mean? The only thing I can finish is your dinner or your drugs. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't never finish anything. And what, you know, the third step for me was about doing the program. It was about doing the program. And, you know, and I have to say that I've come across so many people, you know, in my short time around that don't do the program. They do lots of other stuff and talk a really good game. And I can talk a really good game. But I do have this fallback. It's like the reading today about happy. Did anyone do the reading today? Yeah, happy about doing service. I'm doing service. Fantastic, I'm doing service. You know, and those first 3 steps, you know, and you know, the first step, the principle is hope. The second step is, the first step is honesty. The second step is hope. The third step is faith. And let me tell you a bit about faith, and me and faith. I come from a place of no faith whatsoever. Seriously, I come from a place of no faith. I often share, if the Wright brothers lived in my road, we would never have flown. Because I would have said to them, what are you trying to do, you pair of twats? You cannot fly. Man is not meant to fly. You know, I don't know what you're doing. Because what it is, not only do I know nothing, I'm completely opinionated on everything. You know, the essence of me an addict. I was sharing in a meeting the other day that my home group, Ledbury Road 1230 has become my home group. And I made a decision about a year ago not to share from the floor. Do you know why? Because I'm always fucking talking. From the moment I get up, I've got an opinion about something or somebody. To the moment I go to bed, I'm on the phone. And I thought to myself, you know what? Fuck it. I just go to the meetings and just shut up. Just connect. Just connect. Just connect with how lucky I am to be alive. How lucky I am not to, be in the crap that I was in. And, you know, and I kind of, you know, and I'll kind of share this, that, you know, I used to be like a real kind of book basher, kind of, yeah, rah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, and what happened to me is that, you know, I was about 6 years clean and acting out like a lunatic, right? Like proper insane, like all over the place. And I kind of went to Wembley to watch England versus West Germany with another member. And it was the last game when England played Germany, and Dieter Harman did Seaman with a free kick when he weren't looking. And I always remember, as the goal went in, it kind of appeared. It kind of, you know, I had this like, you know, I had an epiphany. And what I realised is the programme wasn't, you know, I used to think drugs were really bad, so I had to be good. So I tried to be good, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? I was just like struggling in all areas of my life. And what happened was that this epiphany. And what came back to me was that this isn't about being good or bad. It's about being me. You know, this the vital part of this. You know what I mean? To thyself be true, which is Shakespeare. It's about being me or trying to attain that. You know, and 4, 5, and 6, you know, are about the information. You know, you can't work on anything unless you have the information about it. You know, if someone tried to work on my car the way I worked on me, I'd shoot them. Do you know what I mean? So I'll have a go here and have a crack here and maybe this will work or the rest of it. It's insane. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's absolutely insane. You know, you need the information, and 4, 5, and 6 give you the information. You know, and we speak about, and we speak about God here. And for me, you know, God appears when I'm authentic with another addict. And, you know, and I would say that, you know, the biggest thing that I could say to anybody about a program for me is find a place to get honest. You know, find a place, a person that you can actually share what it is to be you. You know, and in the 7th step, it says him. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't say a tree, a kite. Do you know what I mean? Your mother's, you know, underwear. It's, you know, it says him. It kind of like, you know, it kind of emphasizes this God. You know, and much to my dismay and astonishment, I have a God in my life today. You know, I have a God in my life today. And, you know, and I'm always amazed by the program. You know, what I'd say about myself is that I am, you know, look, if my sponsor says to me, go and do this, I don't go, yeah, it's a really fucking fantastic idea. Do you know what? I'm on my way. Do you know what I mean? Generally, I go, really? Are you insane? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what he's done to me? Blah, de, blah, de, blah. This, that, and that. Do you know what I mean? I'm a lot of the time I'm screaming and kicking around this program. So I've been told I've got 5 minutes, and I'm going to kind of wrap it up with a story. That I'm a drug addict, right? I'm a drug addict, and you know, so therefore I deny the evidence. I denied the evidence for years and years and years and years. You know, I can remember the first time someone said to me, "You're a junkie," I just laughed at them. You know, you know, I just like taking drugs occasionally. You know, it's like I deny the evidence. So, you know, what happened is I used to live in a place called Barnes, which is like, I don't live there anymore, but I used to live in a place called Barnes, which is a sleepy place in southwest London. And I was the only other black man that lived there, which is great. Seriously, it's great. There's only 2 black people in the place. It's good. You look after each other. You give yourself the sign. You know what I mean? You know, high fives in the co-op, that sort of stuff. You know. I always remember going in the chemist, and a woman said, "There's only 2 of you in here, in this house, isn't there? There's only 2 of you." You know. And I used to live in this place. I don't live there anymore. I used to live in this place, and there's a kid who lives in New York now. His name's Ed, and he was on a train to Barnes, where I lived, right? And he said, "I've got a fella here who knows you." And I think, this isn't good. That's my first reaction, you know. Bloke on his way to Barnes in a train says he knows me. Not a good idea, right? I said, "Who is it?" He tells me his name. Not a good idea. No. I said, "Jesus." Well, I said, "Jesus." Sorry for blasphemy. I said, "Jesus." And it works out that, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm behind with this fella. When I came back from America, I went to live with him. You know, he was one of Britain's biggest rappers, one of the only rappers really to sell over 100,000 records. I went to live with him, and we smoked his house and we smoked his car, and we smoked everything. And now he didn't have a pot to piss in and he was heading to Barnes, right? And I'm like, oh no. So I remember ringing my sponsor. He won't remember this, but he's here. He won't remember this. I remember ringing him and telling him what the circumstances are. And he said, "You don't owe him money." You know what I mean? This is just what happens in like the struggle. Do you know what I mean? That's something Martin Luther would say, wouldn't it? That's something that happens in the struggle. It wasn't really a struggle. It was just smoking crack. And it's what happens in the struggle. And we kind of met up, and it was really difficult for me. It was really difficult for me you know, and he never had any money, and he was living in a room, and I did have some money, and I wanted to give some money, but I didn't, and, you know, I'd buy the coffee, and, you know, and I remember my sponsor saying, you know, see how you can help him in his life. And what happened is that, cut a long story sideways, really, he died. He ended up dying just short of his 40th birthday, and he got deep vein thrombosis from a trip to New Zealand, and, you know, and he was a lovely man. He was a lovely man, and, you know, and I remember when he died, I just thought, fuck, I should have made that amends, you know, I should have made that amends. And, you know, and I went to his funeral, and I went with my cousin, who made it really worse for me, because he just kept saying, when you two were blazing, he said it was ridiculous. He said it was ridiculous. There was blues and twos around the gaff all the time, do you know what I mean? It was just madness, blah, 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 and all that. I was thinking, oh, God, I should have wished I'd given him some Reddies. And what happened is a church was in a place called Woodford Green out in Essex, where he was from, and went to the church, and it was really well attended because he was a lovely bloke, he was a lovely man. And when I got into the church, I sat down at the back, and as I looked round, his wife walked in. And I thought, that's the amend, the wife. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't him, it was the wife, because I forgot he had a wife. Do you know what I mean? We were so mad, do you know what I mean? We was just in and out, you know, hiding in cupboards, you know, in bed in a spare bedroom, taping it all up. Well, I thought he had a wife. And that was the amend. I thought, fantastic. And, you know, and that's the beauty of the program for me. The beauty of the program for me, I was still investigating what it was to be me, right? And what happened is, and this is the evidence of it, and I kind of went over to her and I sort of said, you know, I'm really sorry, and, you know, and this and that, and I made my amend, and, you know, and she was kind of fairly lukewarm with it and kind of left. This is on a Thursday. On a Friday, I had to fly to New York to do some business, and I decided to stay the weekend. You know, and it was kind of, you know, I was kind of feeling the effects of my friend's funeral, and it was in November, and it was really kind of cold, and I was walking in the Lower East Side of New York, which you know, and I was walking on the Bowery, you know, the Bowery. I was walking on the Bowery, and I decided I wanted to have a lag, which is urinate. And I went into a hotel, and I went into a hotel called the Bowery, you know, the Bowery Hotel. Went in there to urinate, and she was standing there in reception. She was standing there, and it was like, wow. You know, I'd seen her 3,500 miles away on a Thursday. Now on a Sunday, you know, I'm walking along in New York, and I see her, and we looked at each other. She collapsed into my arms and sort of, you know, told me about her life. She was there for her 40th birthday. She introduced me to her husband. She'd had 4 children. She told me her story. I could, you know, and what it was, you know, proof to me that this program works. Despite what my head tells me and what I should do and what I shouldn't do, just following instructions. And I've had lots of this stuff that's happened to me. You know, and I'm going to kind of bring it to a close on this. You know, I always fancied myself. I had a deep, deep regret about not doing legal radio. I had a deep, deep regret about it. It was kind of like something that affected me that I never really looked at. And I went to LA in 2011, and they asked me to do a chair on step 7. And I remember doing this chair on step 7, and the fella shared back, and he said, you know what, a shortcoming is also not doing something. And I thought to myself, fuck it. You know, I'm going to crack this radio nonsense. You know, and I came back to London, and to cut a long story short, you know, me and a group of friends, original friends that I started the original station with, we started a new station. And on the 27th of June this year, we started to broadcast legally on DAB over London. We got an Ofcom license, and I do a radio show. Yeah. And we do recover. You know, I recovered from that to this. You know, I'll kind of end on this. You know, that's the third time I said that, by the way. You know, I really don't. You know, I don't really come here to be better than any of you. I come here, you know, occasionally just to be a better me. That's really what it's about, just to be a better me. And some days I fall incredibly short of that. I really do. But with the help of you guys and the program, do you know what I mean? I've been given a chance, an opportunity. And really, that's all I ever wanted. a chance and an opportunity. And, you know, and lots of things have happened in my 19 years. I've failed marriages, failed relationships like the one today. You know, children born, children growing up, fathers dying. My father died, my stepfather died. I've had money, I've not had money. You know, and the only antidote I've found to all of that has been the program of Narcotics Anonymous. You know, it has sat beside me throughout my successes, my failures, my highs, my lows, my dealing with it, my not dealing with it. That is the thing. That and my higher power are the things that I've been able to call upon religiously. And I say that because religious means enthusiastically. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you.